I don't even like preseason. I don't even like preseason. Don't watch preseason. So I'm that asshole that the song's singing about waiting all day for Sunday night. And it'd be bad enough that I lost to the fucking Steelers or the fucking Panthers, so Brett had to talk shit to me. The fucking Cowboys. The Cowboys. We can't even put up a fucking points against the Cowboys.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. All right. So this year, this is what we're going to do for y'all, the people. We want to really do a weekly thing with the NFL games. We're gonna try to get it out by Wednesday and not Thursday, because I know by Thursday people are over the week prior and more focused on the week going into it. But for this week, it's gonna be on a Thursday. It's okay. It happens. We'll figure it out. But what we'll do is we will recap the most important storylines.
And not for nothing, we needed the time to recover. Our teams got embarrassed, some more than others. And not for nothing, everything with Aaron Rodgers. Like you guys already know if you're listening to us. They already know if they're listening to us. Like the whole world was just like, well, this sucks yesterday.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna get into all of that. But yeah, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get into it. We wanted it's ironic because we already said that we wanted to wait until all the games are done. So that's why we said we'll probably try to record these on Tuesdays, get them out to you by Wednesday. In case something like this happens where the biggest story happens on Monday night, and that's the thing. So we'll get into it now.
yeah, me and Brett were not thinking this was going to be what we were talking about when we said, on Monday, you know what, fuck it, we got to wait for the Aaron Rodgers game. And then I was working. I actually am in the minority. I didn't see the beginning of the game. And when I got done with work around 45 minutes, like 8:45, like I look at my phone and there's like 60 messages I've missed. And I'm like, what is going on? What could possibly be happening? Because believe it or not, I'm actually a positive person when it comes to like sports. So my first thought wasn't an injury until I started to see, like, processing some of the comments I was getting. And yeah, man, Jets fans, every different shade of depression on Monday night, like just pure unadulterated, unadulterated sadness. I mean, I
Yes.
can't blame them.
It's whack because as sports fans we suffer, right? It's one of those things like, look, love him or hate him, Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. You don't want to see that happen, especially at his age, because that is a question like, yo, is this the last we'll see of him? Like, you don't want him to go out like that. Um, it's weird. We're in a
And he's playing the Cowboys. Fuck it. I'm gonna show my bias. I'm a Giants fan. I know I fuck with some of my Jets fans friends at times, but like it's little brother syndrome. I don't care about the Jets that much. And except in the sense of I want to see a good football team, which was I was excited to see this year. As Brett knows, I've drafted Jets players to my fantasy team, and here we are, and we're robbed as like the casual fan, not the Jet fan, as like the other fans, because fuck the Cowboys. I was hoping to see Aaron Rodgers and these new look Jets go and face Dallas and fucking embarrass them. I wanted to get that revenge, like through my little brother, and now I don't even have that.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, as a Steelers fan, like that's what I'm saying. This is beyond sports. Because as a Steelers fan, this should be a great thing for us, right? The Jets are a team that we're competing against for a playoff spot. The irony of our schedule was when the schedule came out, I said, "Oh, that's funny. No matter what happens, we play Aaron Rodgers because we're the only team in the division that plays the Packers, and we're the only team in the division that plays the Jets." So before he ever got traded, I said, "Well, no matter what, we're going to play Aaron Rodgers this year." And so, because we all knew that if he got traded, it was going to be to the Jets. Um, and so it was one of those things. Now it's like, oh wow, okay, this is an interesting opportunity because now we play the Jets without Aaron Rodgers and we play the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, but that still sucks, right? It's one of those things like you don't.
And I got to be fair, real quick, because we kind of already touched on the first 2 points on the slide just naturally, because you made the slide, but like I have a little bit smaller on my window right now, and I see the third point. Why can't certain teams get it right? And this is the one time I'm going to defend the Jets. No, That's not what this was. This is
No,
just
no,
bad luck.
well, but
All
that's
the all the fans out there that are going same old Jets, same old Jets, same
no,
old
no,
Jets. That's bullshit.
but that's what I'm saying. When I say certain teams just can't get it right, when I watched it live, right, and you saw him just kind of like look like, yeah, it's not good, come get me, and I thought to myself, my God, some teams just feel snake bitten. Like even when they're doing the right thing, it just blows up in their face. And I thought about it. You brought up the little brother teams. Think about the three little brother. No offense to the Islanders in hockey, but think about the three little brother New York teams over the last 5 years, right? The Nets having three Hall of Famers on the team didn't even get to the conference finals, and it blows up. The Jets right now with Aaron Rodgers. The Mets just this year, this same exact year, the Mets had Matt Scherzer, Justin Verlander. They were supposed to take over New York. Steve Cohen comes in. He's like, no, no, no. I'm gonna be like the old Yankees. I'm just gonna outspend everybody and get all this talent. That team was so bad, they blew it up midway through the season. They didn't even get a full season of those dudes in there before they blew that up. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, I mean, even like stuff like the Clippers and other franchises, as a sports fan, it gets depressing sometimes. It's like, yo, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to just win? Like, it's not fair sometimes because it's like, yo, even when we do the right thing, we're wrong. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, good for the Jets. They were talking all that shit. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, don't be a hater. At the end, if that was your team and you had a young, nasty defense, and you had a young, nasty wide receiver, and a young, nasty running back, and your quarterback was the only thing holding you back, and you get a first ballot Hall of Famer who can still play, you be talking trash too. Stop it. Like this notion that the Jets deserve this because they were pumping their chest. Yeah, bro, that's what we do as fans.
Oh no, no, no. Well, those are two different things. It's not that anyone deserves it. It's a matter of if you can talk shit, you better be ready to take shit, and that's all it is. And that's coming from me. No
No,
one can say anything that
I
I'm
get
not.
that. I get that, but it's one of those things where, again, it just feels like certain franchises are just doomed to fail, and that's how I kind of felt.
Yeah, but hold on. I defended the Jets. I feel guilt free in this aspect. All year, this year, 2023, since the last season ended, they've been doing nothing but talking shit. Nothing but talking shit. You would think they have banners for their offseason the way every year Jet fans talk shit to Giants fans. Like when I say it's a little brother complex, I mean it. That's why I get on you sometimes when you randomly bring up the Knicks. It doesn't have to happen. Like the Jets fans that are obsessed with the Giants, that hate the Giants. It is not a two-way street like that. And so I had more Jet fans talk shit to me after that 40-0 embarrassing loss than Cowboys fans. And just as a reminder to everyone, half my family is Cowboys fans. I have no shortage of Cowboys fans in my life. So the fact that more Jets fans felt the need to talk shit to me on Monday morning, and then, oh my God, just the fucking insults and cursing I got, sending memes, not memes I made, just the funny ass memes that I'm sure you saw, Brett, that I'm sure we all have shared already, just harmless memes making the most out of this, out of a terrible situation, and they're losing their shit like, oh my God, I can't believe you're celebrating an injury. No one's celebrating an injury. I haven't seen one person celebrate this injury. I have Aaron Rodgers on my fantasy team, for fucking sake. Like, no one's celebrating this. But the idea that the same people that were saying they had all the leverage for months when they were trying to do this trade, aka talking out their ass, because if you have leverage, you get a deal done. You don't just drag the shit out. Um, to just getting Aaron Rodgers, and mind you, I'm cool with you being hyped. I got KD and Kyrie on my team. I was super hyped. I understand hype, but acting like you won something that invites, again, happened to us, Brett. It invites people to talk shit, and you got to be around for that shit talk. If you make your bed, lie in it. If you don't want people talking shit to you, don't talk shit to people. Period.
Yeah, but I guess
And
it's
so
also
there's no boohoo Jet fan shit. It sucks. It sucks if you're a 40-year-old Jet fan. It really does. This is a terrible situation, and I feel for you. But the idea that, like, oh, you shouldn't talking shit to Jets fans. They shouldn't be talking shit.
Well, no,
Jet
no,
fans talk shit. They're
that's
one
not
of
what
the biggest shit talking fan bases. It's like feeling bad for Raiders fans. I don't know a Raiders fan that don't talk shit.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I feel bad for Jets fans on the just on the sheer fact of it's like, man, are we really cursed? Like, what? We can't win. We cannot win. And again, as a Nets fan, I feel that sometimes. It's like, yo, like I really look back on everything. I'm like, yo, we can't win. I mean, to the point, that's why, and I don't even want to get on the Nets tangent, but that's why when me and you used to argue about the Nets, I'm like, yo, I do not want to go back to mediocrity. The fact that we are okay with that scares me. It's like, yo, we haven't been to a conference final since 2002. Like, no, no, no. Give me the toxic star players. At least they give me a chance to get past the first round. Like that was just my mindset. Because it's like, no.
Well, not really.
Okay, here you go. We're not doing this. But my mindset was simply like, yo, y'all don't understand. If it don't happen now, what makes y'all think it's gonna happen ever? It was kind of like an arrogance on our
Yeah,
part.
but that's bullshit too, because that's the same thing for everything. That's exactly what Eagles fans were saying before they won one, and then they had the best team last year, and people expect them to win a second one. And 10 years ago, it was all the same narrative around them. So I agree with you that you don't want to have a culture of mediocrity. I 100% agree with you. There is elements of that, but that's not what the Jets fans are. There are two different types of Jets fans that we're both talking about, right? Or they're all the same Jet fan. They're very prideful. That's the Jersey, New York fucking attitude. And it's not something I'm talking shit about. It's just the reality of the culture, right? But there's the Jet fan that has talked shit all year, and now they know shit, man, if it wasn't for this injury, and they're in that depressed ass state, right? And there's the other fan that was waiting for this to happen, and they're just going, same old Jets, woe is me. So it's a mixture of both, because I got my friends out here that didn't talk any shit to me. They were Jets fans. They were hype all off season. They were like, let's see what happens, because they're football fans, so they know a 40-year-old quarterback, no matter how good he is coming to the Jets, could be a Brett Favre situation where you finish the season 8-8 because of injury. Like, everybody I know didn't care. And when I say everybody I know, I mean the Jets fans I said this to. When I made the joke, oh, you don't realize you're in the reboot? Your guys are going to finish 8-8 after an injury in week 6 or something. I just was repeating what happened with Brett Favre. And, it's funny because of a certain age, Jet fans immediately understood the reference I was making. And other Jet fans were like, why would you ever wish injury? And I'm like, I'm not wishing injury. I'm describing the Brett Favre season. And it's just funny because, Packers quarterback, you know what I mean? Like, the mirrors of Favre and Rodgers' careers are just insane. Now, if Aaron Rodgers is a Viking in 2 years, that's just fucking nuts. But hopefully, and I'm being sincere, guys, I like talking shit to the same people that talk shit to me, but I drafted this dude. We the non-Jet fans that are me and Brett and the league we're in that only has like one or two, all of us were hype over this. All of us are upset about this. And I think I speak for at least the dope blog here. We want him to come back. Like, this isn't a situation where, oh man, he's done. Fuck that, it's over. Wrap it up. No, trust me, the 34-year-old mortal part of my brain is saying that. But the fan in me is saying, fuck that, he's going to come back and he's going to be Aaron Rodgers. And that's how I really feel. Well, I feel bad.
Here's the other part. So when I made this Monday night. I kind of started during the game and I finished it after the game was over. I was just thinking in the moment of, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I didn't even put on here, like, what is it? If you're the Jets, what do you do now? Because that is a very important question.
Right. Well, that's the positive of recording this a little bit later, because now, and mind you, me and Brett actually do work, so we've been busy the last couple of days. But in that, the Jets have pretty much told the world they're just going with Zach Wilson. And I think that's good. I think that's good.
I think that's the best thing to do this year. I'm talking about going forward. My thing is, he is going to be 40, like 41, I believe, by the time the season, and he's coming off an Achilles. And granted, he's not a point guard, but like at the end of the day, a 40-year-old man coming off an Achilles that you've invested a lot already. Like, it's one of those things, like, do you cut bait? What do you do? Like, I don't know what you do there, because it's like,
I wouldn't cut bait, because they can hold on to this roster for at least the next 2 years. That's the reality of the Jets situation right now. The roster they have is young, and for the most part, I'm a guesstimate and say roughly 80% can come back next year. And as long as that defense is intact and you got Wilson to throw to, figure your shit out and hope he comes back healthy, because this Jets team is good. All jokes aside, all shit talk aside, I drafted Rodgers, I drafted Breece Hall, and I drafted the Jets defense throughout different leagues. And I did that because I, as a fan, had faith in this roster that much. And for anybody that watched that game on Monday that expected nothing but an L once Rodgers went down in the opening drive, no less, that Jets defense showed up. Dude got his contract bonus because he hit the 3 interceptions for that contract bonus in the first game of his contract. Whitehead. Like that defense and that special team showed you how much talent they have, how much of a unit they are. And props to Aaron Rodgers, because everybody on that team was saying he's like, his energy is infectious and we love it, and nothing but positive shit. For all the times me and Brett have criticized that dude, I want to give him his flowers in that regard, because that team was together. Unlike Zach Wilson last year, where you could just tell some dudes were like, fuck it, I'm gonna get mine, my contract's up. That team didn't fold. They responded, and they fucking won. Like, that's what sucks as a dude, because we're gonna get into the Giants. But as a dude that had to watch not one of, the most embarrassing loss of Giants history, that I turned off at halftime because I'm not a fucking masochist. This was painful because it was bittersweet. They won. There's so much there to be happy about as a fan, because if Rodgers was not part of the equation and that team did that regardless that way, yes, of course we can go on and on about the turnovers and Josh Allen having a shitty game. But last time I checked, the defense was there to make it a shitty game and cause the turnovers. So like, it's one hand, half a dozen in one hand and half a dozen in the other, right? So like, I just feel like there's so much to build off of. And if they never got Aaron Rodgers, we would still be singing the praises of this Jets defense and how good this young Jets roster is. So you just hope Aaron Rodgers comes back. If he doesn't, you get a first round pick back. I think that's the deal they made. No matter what, either you're
they already got the first round pick, because he's not going to play this year. So I mean, that's the silver line. Thank God this didn't happen like week 10 or something, where he would have already played 65% of the snaps.
Oh, that was the thing. They got their first round pick back already.
Yeah, because he's not going to play this year. They're gonna get their first round pick back. So now it's only a second round pick that the Packers get. That's the only
which again, Jets fans, like, that was, let's be real. Let's at least say it now. Right now, that deal for Aaron Rodgers is looking great. It doesn't look like a lose-lose for either team, but it looks like a great deal considering everything they did. Because at least for the off season, the Jets culture felt different. That's why the same old Jets narrative is a little annoying.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying same old Jets. All I'm saying is, for certain franchises, you just feel like you're snake bit. You feel like whoever.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't mean you. I meant the actual Jets fans. I talked
no. I just feel like the owner made a deal with somebody they weren't supposed to make, because it's like why do we suffer like this? Like, this is BS. You know what I mean? Like, because some of the stuff is like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, you really can't. Like, you can't make this stuff up in terms of how bad it is. And so, we gotta move on to other teams. But one thing I want to talk about was Josh Allen, because you brought up a good point. Josh Allen played a horrible game, and he admitted it. And he just really bad turnovers. He turned the ball over 4 times. 3.5 of them were all his fault. Like, literally, 3.5 of them were all his fault. The other half was that third interception. Yeah, Gabe Davis could have probably ran a better route, but still, he still missed him on the inside anyway. So instead of a knock away, it was an interception. So it's one of those things.
The NFC North, the AFC East quarterbacks, or Josh Allen, and the AFC North quarterbacks, like, they had like some of the worst numbers in quarterbacks.
I mean, like, now, in this week 1, we get all that, but my thing when I'm watching Josh Allen, and mind you, I'm somebody that before that draft, I said, you take this guy number 1 overall. I said that before the draft. I said, forget Baker, forget Saquon, forget anybody. Take Josh Allen number 1 overall. The more and more I watch him, the more and more I say, wow, this guy really is this generation's Big Ben Roethlisberger. And I mean that good, bad, and the ugly, because this was one of those games that Ben used to have, where it's like, Ben, you're killing us, bro. You are killing us. As
I
many
know what you mean. Yeah.
as many great plays as he makes, there's so many more where it's like, dude, like you can't do that. So and forget the turnovers. Forget the turnovers. It's just his reckless style of play in general. So for instance, you missed it. Their first drive, which again happened right after the damn Aaron Rodgers injury. It's like third down or whatever. He scrambles. He gets the first down. He has the first down already. He could have army crawled out of bounds. That's how much space he had. But instead, he kept running, put his head down, and got cracked by two linebackers. And matter of fact, and it's ironic because they're showing down that replay. They're like, yo, did he have a concussion? Because when you see the play again, he hit his head hard on the ground. And you saw Sean McDermott, the head coach, yelling, like, yo, play smart, play smart. And I'm sitting like, yeah, bro, like, what are you doing? You just saw Aaron Rodgers get hurt. Why would you do something like that? And then there was two other times in the game he did the same thing to the point where even Troy Aikman and Joe Buck like, bro, slide. Like, what are you doing? And it's just that same reckless abandonment that Ben Roethlisberger played with. And it's one of those things like it's a double-edged sword because he does things in the way he plays. He's going to make fantastic plays and he's going to help you win games. But then there's other days like this where he's going to cost you games. And again, I've said it all the time. How many and I said it on Twitter, and somebody said, "Well, Ben Roethlisberger won 2 Super Bowls." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not saying Josh Allen can't win them a Super Bowl. I think he can and maybe will win them a Super Bowl or two. And if you're a Buffalo fan, you'll say, "Okay, I'll take that." So again, I'll take Josh Allen on my team any day of the week. But it's frustrating, and that's why even when we talk about Ben, I always say, "Yo, I didn't like Ben when he was my quarterback," because it's stuff like this. Because you say to yourself, "How many more years could we have won that he cost us?" With Ben, I
He
know
doesn't
this.
like Ben. He just brings him up every episode.
But okay, because it's comparable here. There, as a
It
Steelers,
is. It is.
as a Steelers fan, I say to myself, "Damn, yeah, we won two, we went to three, but there's at least 2 or 3 more years. I know for a fact that dog, if this dude was healthy, or if he didn't turn the ball over that game, or if we didn't lose that random freaking game we had no business losing, we could have won another one." And if you're a Bills fan, this is one of those times like, damn, bro, we lost to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson, for those of you who didn't watch the game, they didn't trust Zach Wilson at all. They were running the ball, and every pass was at the line of scrimmage. The defense and the turnovers literally kept them in the game. And it's because Josh Allen just couldn't resist making bad plays when you didn't have to. You had the game in tow. Their offense was dead. The energy was dead. The defense turning the ball over was getting the team and the fans back into the game. And that's what I'm saying. And then Josh Allen, when they went down, 2 minute warning, went right down the field and got the game time field goal. And I thought he was going to win the game in overtime, to be honest with you. And I would say, yeah, that's a Ben Roethlisberger game. Where yeah, they got out of there by the skin of their chinny chin chin. But it's like, bro, you shouldn't have had to do that. You shouldn't have had to do that. And when you have a guy like Josh Allen, you don't get rid of him because he's going to do things for you that nobody else in the league can do. But there's going to be games like this that you look back and you say, damn, that might have been the difference. If Buffalo doesn't have the number 1 seed this year and they're number 3, and it's only because they're a game and a half, it's games like this that's going to cost you. It's week 1, but there's only 17 of these games. If they come in there with the third pick, with the third seed, not the first seed, and they got to go to Kansas City again, and they lose to Kansas City, it's going to be because of games like this. And as a Buffalo fan, you're going to say, "Damn, what if he didn't turn the ball over 4 times against the Aaron Rodgers Jets?" Like he cannot do that. And I've seen it for 17 years with Big Ben. It's gonna happen. And again, I think he's good enough to overcome it a year or two, and they can win the championship. But there's gonna be so many other years when you look back at his career, like, damn, bro, we could have had maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, but stuff like this, like he's got to get it together, and he's admitted that. But Ben used to admit it too, and he never changed. So it's like, bro, you gotta make that change. You gotta control how good you are. We understand that you can make throws that nobody else can make. We understand you can hurdle linebackers. That's great. That doesn't mean you got to do it every single time. You got to pick and choose your spots. That's what the great ones do. They know how to pick and choose when to use their great talent. Not you don't try to do it every single time. Same thing with Ben. Try to break off sacks every single time. Led the league in sacks 20 million times. I think he's been sacked the most in the NFL history. It's crazy. And injuries and injuries and injuries. Same with Josh Allen. You're hurdling these linebackers. You're getting hit. You had a shoulder injury last year that cost your team because all the hits you take. You can't keep doing stuff like that. It's gonna cost it. It's gonna cost the Bills. And if they never win a championship, it's gonna be the greatest what if ever because this guy's amazing. He really is. But it's in between the ears, bro. He's got to do better. He really does. Let's talk about somebody who did do better. That's
Oh,
too
fuck you. How is the Giants not the next slide? How is the Giants not the next slide?
because I promised Dolphins fans I'm going to give them their flowers, and I'm giving them their flowers. They play. I'm sorry, you wanted us to talk about the Giants this early. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, because I can't. I've been
Don't worry, you'll have your
waiting.
chance. You'll have your chance to go in on your Giants. Don't worry, it's early.
Don't,
Tua looked great. They looked amazing. The Chargers once again look like frauds, but still, this is a big game. I mean, if you want to talk about the one team that benefited the most this weekend, it's the Dolphins. You think about it, you went on the road and beat the Chargers again, a team that you're competing for playoff spot. The Jets lose their quarterback and they still beat Buffalo. Okay, the Steelers lose, the Bengals lose, the Ravens win, but they don't look great. I mean, the Patriots lose. This was a great day and week for the Dolphins. And I said it when we did our thing. Hey, if they're healthy, they're going to be dangerous. I just don't know how healthy they're going to be. Right now, they're healthy and they look amazing.
they look
And
like they're about to win that division.
yeah, they look like they can win that division. I think I highlighted when we do go over the week 2 stuff. This is a big week for them because if they have another great week, they could be in sole possession of first place in that division, and that's going to go a long way. I know it's early. I get it. It's week 2, but again, there's only 17 games, and people don't realize a lot of times if you screw up early in your season, it really does mess you up later on when you're trying to catch up and make a wild card spot. Again, as a Steeler fan, I've seen that movie a million times. You want to play good football at the beginning of the year, and you want to play good football at the end of the year. Those are the 2 times you want to play good football, because of stuff like this. Because even if you sputter during the middle of the season, if you have that cushion, there you go. And so again, I'm gonna give them their credit. Tua looks fantastic. They look dangerous. They look fast. That's a good Chargers team. I know the Chargers always underperform, but that's still a good Chargers team.
Well, they got out coached. The Chargers, they're they have talent on the team. Coaching is always their problem, and none of their players are ever healthy at the same time. And I've just described every Chargers team for the last 30 years.
that's a fact.
So, and it sucks. Don't get me wrong. It sucks just as a fan that your teams are always dealing with injuries. You never have the right coach, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't want to talk about the Chargers because they're irrelevant. But the Dolphins, and I'm not even joking. You just took everything I would have said anyway because I only got to watch the highlights of this game. Tua is in a great position. He doesn't need to do more than the bare minimum to look good. When Jalen Waddle is your number 2 wide receiver, you should be throwing for as many yards as he's throwing. I just feel like it's insane that the Colts demanded more than Jalen Waddle because he was a number 2 wide receiver for Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor doesn't deserve to be paid like a top elite talent, but they expect top elite talent in return on top of picks for said running back. And that's literally what I was thinking when I saw these highlights, and I just saw Waddle burning some motherfuckers in these highlights. I'm like, oh, isn't that number 2 wide receiver the Colts didn't want for Jonathan Taylor? But anyway, the Dolphins are what it's weird for me and you because this is one of those teams I feel like we just talked about, and they're doing what we said they were going to do. So I don't have much more to say because I'm like, well, yeah, they should be good if everything's going on. Because low key, I guess me and Brett do like that coach. Like he's funny as hell. He has more viral clips than I feel like I've seen more of him than my own coach in the last couple of years. So I'm low key rooting for this team because this is the same team that had all this controversy about the coaching, and the owner was going to go after Deshaun Watson, and they were going to trade Tua, and then they hired this dude who we all jokingly, and he was in on the joke. He's like, I am kind of a black coach, guys. He's like, I get it, and he did it because he's a mixed dude. So he's like, I'm not gonna, like, he had an attitude like, I'm not gonna die on this hill, whatever. but they did hire him. He's been good. He's validated that hire. They've kept Tua, which many fans thought was a bad idea. And here we are, week one, when our area, the tri-state area, for the most part, is like, well, shit. And you got the Eagles, like, yeah, they look okay, but they don't look like they look okay compared to what they were last year. But they're definitely didn't seem like the same world beaters they looked like last year. That could be Super Bowl hangover. That could just be week one. We don't want to overreact too much, but they didn't look like the same team. So up here, we're all like, well, shit, are any of us going to look good? And then you got transplants from Miami because, Miami and New York, we just trade people every offseason in real life. And so we have our fair share of Finn fans up here. And for a franchise that just felt like they were doing what the Jets do and just being like, we can't get out of our own fucking way. They needed this win because it was a morale win. It was exactly what they needed to see after just a bunch of what's the right way to phrase it? A bunch of question marks and wait and sees and what ifs all off season. And now they're healthy again and they look like, well, shit, AFC. It looks like we got our division winner right now because the wide receiver is certainly better than the Bills. The defense, I didn't look at the numbers. I just know they're not pushovers. And judging by beating the Chargers, I feel like if the Jets were holding their own with the Bills should be worried about the Finns. But at the same time, the Jets just seem to be Josh Allen's kryptonite. So who knows? I feel like
the Jets are because they know some teams know. It's like, yo, he's gonna throw deep into trouble, double coverage. Just wait for it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
But the Dolphins defense isn't like that's not the Giants secondary out there. Is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like shit. Like you can't do that against them either. Like and Bill Belichick, sure, we can go on for days. This isn't the same Patriots team anymore. That's still not a team you can make mistakes against.
Yeah, no, the Dolphins look good. I mean, right as of right now, I'll still say that the Bills win this division because it's early. And again, it's still a matter of can Tua hold up for 17 games? That's still the big question mark. But he's proven once again, and we said it last time we did the pod. Hey, if he's out there, they have a chance. I'm gonna give him credit. If he's out there, they look good, they play well. He gives them a great chance to win. It's just a matter of can they protect them.
And I didn't know we were going to talk about the Finns this week, but I promise this week or next week, I will pay more attention and I will talk more about them in better detail than I just did, because I actually want to give analysis on these teams, not just an overview that anyone could get or any casual could give. Because I really do. I like Tua in college. I also like Jalen Hurts in college. So there's a bunch of players on that team that honestly are just those workhorse guys that it's just cool they're on the same team. Because Jalen Waddle could be just that dude on a bad team. Tua could have been a what if. So the fact that this roster's together and hopefully stays healthy, that the whole rushing core on Miami is a bunch of dudes that would be okay somewhere else, but together they look like a problem because they're sharing that workload and it's running back by committee, but they're all workhorses. So if two are hurt, the other two are still rushing, and that's coaching. A lot of that is just good coaching.
Yeah.
So unless you really hate me praising the Dolphins coach, I don't know what to tell you, because I think that's going to be a lot of the discussion week to week when it comes to complimenting the Miami Dolphins. Because if their coach was trash, they'd be the Chargers.
That's true. All right, here we go. I wanted to make sure I spelled this right because some people don't know how to spell this incredible acronym. So the Chiefs.
Somebody in our league really said money rules everything around me, like the song said, or something like that, and everybody else was like, "Are you?" It's right there.
Like, no. Two different people did it on two separate days. That's why I did that, because I was like, yeah, we gotta need this. We need a spelling lesson. But anyway,
we have suspended their black cards for the time being until they can prove us otherwise.
Right. So the Chiefs and Bengals, they lost week one, but to me, the bigger story is what's going on in terms of how they're spending their money. The Chiefs look horrible without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, he can't make people catch the ball. Joe Burrow didn't look good in week one either, but he usually doesn't look good in week one because he's usually hurt week one. So like that's been a common theme with them. And for some reason he doesn't like playing the Browns. I don't know what it is, but they have his number. My thing with both, and basically this is just for players in general. The Bengals already said they're not going to make a deal with T. Higgins. Chris Jones did finally sign his deal, but it's a 1-year deal and it's just incentive. So he's still basically going to be a free agent. My thing is these two players in particular screwed up, right? Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow were the two players in the entire National Football League. If they said, yo, man, give me a blank check and it better be fully guaranteed, their teams would have had no choice but to do it. Ironically, if you watch the show Ballers, I believe that was called, with your boy, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the final season, spoiler alert, for a show that's been off the air for like, what, 5-6 years now? Spoiler alert, the whole point of the last season was getting Patrick Mahomes signed. And at the end of the season, they got him signed to a fully guaranteed deal because, again, that's what he deserves. So if a show knows that, why don't the Kansas City Chiefs know that? And Patrick Mahomes gave him a team-friendly deal, a 10-year, $500 million deal. I forgot how much is actually guaranteed, but it was a very team-friendly deal. And what did the Chiefs proceed to do? Well, they proceeded to not re-sign Tyreek Hill and trade him. They proceeded to not want to pay Chris Jones. Travis Kelce is in a contract dispute. They just proceeded to replace Tyreek Hill with a bunch of no-name receivers that have not done much.
Hasn't done shit. Not much. Much is too much of an adjective for them. They haven't done much. Much is implying there was something done. These guys are bums. Tony loves talking shit to my Giants all the time. He has more tweets about the Giants than he has catches as a Chief.
There you go.
Like, what are we talking about here? Everyone's going to bring up the fucking Super Bowl. Yes, congratulations. He had a good performance in the Super Bowl. You know who else did? David Tyree. Is anyone going to say David Tyree was more than a bum or a special teams guy? Like, I don't like. It's one of those things where the Chiefs, because of Mahomes, get hyped up, rightfully so. Mahomes is an all-world talent, and Kelce gets hate because he's overrated because he wasn't anything before Mahomes. Guess what? We don't got to worry about what he was before Mahomes. He has rings now with Mahomes. It's a different conversation. Let it go. But he's hurt. So it's time for someone else to step up. Who's going to step up? Will it be Tony? He loves talking shit online to his former team. Obviously, he's going to step up. He's supposed to be a number one wide receiver. Where was he? Oh, right. Having the worst Pro Football Focus rating since 2018. And the guy that was the worst rating in 2018 wasn't a name that you if I said now, most people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember him. Just it was a Titans wide receiver. Put that in context. And then you have Tony, who has Mahomes throwing to him, having the worst rating similar to a Titans wide receiver in 2018. And that guy's still talking shit about the Giants. Like, that team is good. The ironic part is they don't have a wide receiver for all the shit the Giants got for not having a wide receiver. I mean, like, if Daniel Jones could make Isaiah Hodgins or whatever his bum ass name is look good last year, imagine if that bum was on the Chiefs on Sunday. Like, he would at least caught something. Like, these guys are so trash. I feel bad for all the stupid fools, myself included, that drafted offensive weapons on the Chiefs this season.
Yeah,
for fantasy because they're fucking worthless.
And then Joe Burrow, and people are gonna say, well, what are you talking about? He's the highest paid quarterback right now. Yeah, but 275 is more than Deshaun Watson, but he's only getting 219 of that guaranteed. And again, he's the other guy. If he said to the Bengals, no, I want a blank check and I want it to be fully guaranteed, the Bengals would have had no choice but to do it. The Bengals had not
won. And Joe Burrow just had one bad game against a divisional opponent. Like, it didn't seem like a systemic problem for the Bengals.
No, it's not a systemic problem. But what I'm saying is they already talking about they're not going to pay T. Higgins. So it's like, so once again, you left money on the table, technically, right? Because he was going to be the highest paid anyway. He's the next guy up. That's just how that works, right? So it's still a team-friendly deal in that aspect. And yet The next thing the Bengals do is they do what I knew they were going to do and say, hey, we're still the Bengals. We're still the cheapest, fucking most frugal organization in sports, okay? We don't even have an outdoor facility. So at the end of the day, the first thing they do is, yeah, you know, T. Higgins, your second favorite receiver. Yeah, we're not going to pay him. He's going to be a free agent. And it's one of those things where it's like, dude, this is what I'm talking about.
If yeah, but hold on, just to defend the Bengals, because you know, to be fair, everyone knows what you're about to say about the Bengals. If you're listening to us, y'all know who the Bengals are. You know what I mean? Like, but just to put out in context, right? 74 receptions each of the last 2 seasons. He had over 1,000 yards, but under 1,100 yards. So decent numbers, but the farthest thing from anything worth paying, because you can literally get that from anyone if you have Ja'Marr Chase on the other side. I gotta say that, man. Like, that's nothing special. He's not putting up special numbers. How many touchdowns do you think he has?
He's not putting up special numbers because that trifecta of him, Chase, and Boyd is unguardable. So Joe Burrow is able to spread the ball around. So whoever's the one that's wide open, that's who's getting the ball. They all have over 1,000 yards. So it's
that's what I'm saying. Like,
but and that's what the Bengals are going to say. I guarantee you, watch what happens. They lose T. Higgins and they don't replace him. You're going to get a Kansas City effect where now it's okay. I can double team Ja'Marr Chase. I can do this. That third receiver is not going to be put up T. Higgins.
I disagree. No, I'm not saying there would be zero effect. Let me be clear there. I'm not saying there would be no effect on this. I'm just saying those are replaceable numbers. And if they're that far apart on a contract, like, I'm sorry.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about numbers. I'm talking about impact. At the end of the day.
Yeah, but I'm saying impact on the game. Ja'Marr Chase is the one you got to pay.
But, okay, first of all, I don't think they're going to pay Ja'Marr. That's what I'm saying. This is the Bengals we're talking about.
That's a different conversation. If they don't pay Ja'Marr Chase, I'll have a different tune. I'm saying this with the expectation.
I'm just saying T. Higgins. All I'm saying is T. Higgins is the first domino to fall because he's just the one that needs to get paid right now. That's all I'm saying. T. Higgins is the first domino to fall right now because
T. Higgins hasn't had more than 7 touchdowns in a season.
Okay, that's fine. T. Higgins on.
I'm just saying, dude. Like, I can pull up stats across the league. He's not in a, like, how are you not going to pay him tier? It's just he's a homegrown, and we're expecting him to get paid because he's been good. But that's all he's been, is good, and good's replaceable.
And what I'm trying to tell you is he's just the first domino to fall. That's all I'm saying. And fans like you will say, well, it's T. Higgins. Who gives a damn? It's not about T. Higgins. It's about the fact that if you are a player, do not leave money on the table because these teams are not going to turn around and pay your other players. They're going to keep the money that you.
No, you shouldn't say teams. The Bengals, because let's be real, the Pats completely repurposed the money Brady left on the table and built defense.
No, they did not. So again, people
they built defenses with that money.
People bring up the Patriots all the time. The Patriots literally were below league average spending in 7 of the 10 years that they were together. I'm just saying. That's
what do you mean fact. 7 of the 10 years they were together?
7 of the 10 years during that Super Bowl run, that 10-year Super Bowl run, they were below league average in spending in 7 of the 10 years. So even the great Tom Brady, who kept leaving money on the table, that money was not going back into the team. That's what I'm trying. That's what people are trying to like. This is what I'm saying.
What 10 years, dude? It's more than 10 years. That's all I'm saying.
That's the stat, bro. I don't know what else you want me to say.
I'm being serious. Hold on. I'm not trying to catch Brett up on some bullshit. I'm being serious because the Patriots had 2 different dynasties. One's at the beginning of the O's. One's at the end of the teens.
Yeah, so
that's more than 10 years.
They were together for 20 years. That second 10 years, right? When Tom.
Oh, that's what I was asking. No, that's what I was asking. Which 10 years are we talking?
Second 10 years when Tom Brady was by far the best quarterback in football and was leaving money on the table. Like,
oh no, seriously, that was a real question because I was very confused about what 10. Like, we're talking 20
those last 10 years, they were below.
Okay. Well, I'm not comparing the Bengals to the Patriots. I'm just saying T. Higgins isn't the one I'm gonna die on a hill for. But at the same time, I think he's very talented. I think he's talented enough
But that's what I'm
to
saying.
get a contract somewhere.
It's not about T. Higgins. What I'm saying is we're seeing this with the Chiefs, and I know we're going to do it with the Bengals because the Bengals are notoriously cheap. So what I'm what all
Bro,
I'm
if they don't, if I promise a Bengals disc pod if they don't pay Chase and some other heads. Okay, if this is one of many, I will come on here and slander the Brown family with all my passion. I swear to God.
but I also think, but I also
I'll
do
even
think
wave a terrible towel while I'm doing it.
I also think your T. Higgins is pretty good, bro. Again, Jamar Chase
Pretty
is,
good. Okay.
but what I'm saying is Jamar Chase is clearly their number one. So yeah, T. Higgins is not going to look good compared to T. Higgins. I mean to Jamar Chase. But what I'm saying to you is I think T. Higgins on another team would put up monster numbers one. And I think that the reason why the Bengals work is because they spread the ball out. Because they have three basically number one receivers on their team. You can't double everybody. So
I don't know if T. Higgins is definitely a number one receiver, and I'm not trying to hate on the dude, but he was the number one receiver for a year, and he didn't have 1,000 yards.
he was never the number one receiver.
He
He
was the
was in
number one receiver his rookie year.
that was Joe Burrow's rookie year, in which he got hurt halfway through the season. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they came in the same year, and he got hurt, and Joe Burrow got hurt halfway through that year. So that's not even fair.
And just for context, Jalen Waddle put up 1,300 yards and had how many touchdowns did Jalen Waddle have last year?
More than T Higgins, I'm sure.
One more than T. Higgins. That's why I laughed.
Yeah,
I was like, if there ever was a political ass type of win for me, it is one more touchdown in this argument. It was more though.
But that's another thing too, though. People forget touchdowns. We assume that guys supposed to get like double digit touchdowns. That's actually rare. Like that's.
No, I'm not saying I'm bigger on the damn near 350 yards more.
Yeah,
That's a bigger
but also
deal.
they don't have a trifecta. It's two. That's what I'm saying. The fact that the Bengals have three wide receivers and they all get over 1,000 yards. Think about that. That's 3,000 yards in just receiving. Like that's a lot. That's a lot.
I agree. But we're also giving props to Joe Burrow this whole time. All I'm saying is T. Higgins is replaceable. That's not an insane thing to say.
That's why I disagree. I think what makes them great is they have three bona fide studs at wide receiver. You can't double team all of them. And what makes Joe
and Boyd did not have 1,000 yards. He had 762.
Okay, but I think he was hurt last year.
No, because that's an amazing feat. Is three. You know what I mean? Like I was like, holy shit! Why didn't I draft him if he had 1,000 yards? Yeah, I wasn't going to say that out loud yet, but I was.
But my point is, I think T. Higgins will be a number one on most teams. I think Tyler Boyd could be a number one on most teams. The point of the matter is,
come on, bro.
Tyler, bro, I'm telling you, I watch Bengals. These guys are good, man. And what
Tyler Boyd's been in the league since 2016, has 2,000-yard seasons, one in 2018, one in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, what do you mean? That's not number one receiver.
And who was his quarterback before that? Old Andy Dalton. Like, come on, come on. What are we talking about?
Like, I mean, what are you talking about? You think he could be a number one receiver? Like,
I think he would be. I think he would. I think prime.
On what team?
On the Giants for sure. What do you mean?
He wouldn't even be number one on the Giants.
He wouldn't be. Tyler Boyd wouldn't be number one on the Giants.
You think Tyler Boyd got better numbers than Paris Campbell last year? Let's look.
Tyler Boyd, the third player on the Chiefs. I mean, on the Bengals.
Yeah.
Go look up the stats. You look it up.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. My phone lagged. Can you give me a second? Damn. You got some nerve after what your laptop did for this podcast.
The point I'm trying to make.
Hurry up. Pull it up. Like ESPN over here. I got 1,000 monitors. Got my phone and my laptop, bro.
The point I'm trying to make is
he had almost identical stats as Paris Campbell.
Okay, cool.
Almost identical.
The point I'm trying to make is what makes the Bengals great is they have three really, really, really good wide receivers. You cannot double team any of them. And
they have a great wide receiver. They have a good wide receiver, and then they have a wide receiver. That's what they have, and they have Joe Burrow making them look amazing. That's what's real. Because I think Chase is the only one that is the guaranteed number one on that team, is all I'm saying. T. Higgins is closer to a number one. Tyler Boyd is not a number one. Like,
if you would let me finish, they have three great wide receivers. And what Joe Burrow does better than anybody else is I'm going to take what the defense gives me. So if you're double teaming Chase and you're double teaming Boyd, T. Higgins is your show today. If you're double teaming Higgins and you're double teaming Chase, Tyler Boyd, it's your show today. If you're single covered on all three, it's going to be the Ja'Marr Chase show. Yes, obviously Ja'Marr Chase is the best one out of all three. Obviously, he'd be at number one on every single team in the league. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing don't discount the impact of a T. Higgins and a Tyler Boyd, because that's what makes this team good. If it was just Ja'Marr Chase and two just not good receivers, I guarantee you they don't function the same way. That's what I'm trying to say. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are good players. They're not just guys that you just replace, because that's what Kansas City thought. Oh, we could just replace anybody.
And comparing them to a terrible wide receiver core like the Giants, I'm comparing them to the Giants. Darius Slayton put up better numbers than Tyler Boyd.
Darius Slayton's your number one receiver.
No, he's not supposed to be. That's my point.
But he was. That's what you're comparing some team's number one to somebody else's number three in a system.
He's not number three. He wasn't number three last year. He was number two.
Tyler Boyd.
Like I'm being serious. So Slayton was supposed to not be our starter, sure, but there was injuries, and he had ended up with 724 yards leading the Giants in 2022, which is on 71 targets, 46 receptions, which I think is better numbers than Tyler Boyd with more receptions.
Tyler Boyd's their number three. Darius Slayton was your number one.
Yeah, and with a better quarterback. That's my point. So you just said he would be the number one on the Giants.
Okay, all right. You're not
amazing, dude.
Okay,
this is like when you were trying to say how good Demetrius Johnson was.
Lord have Demetrius. Who the fuck is Demetrius Johnson?
Or whatever your fucking bum ass wide receiver's name is.
The one that made the fucking Pro Bowl? All right, you know what? We're moving on. We're moving on.
I love when I get Why? Why are the Giants coming out? Why are you doing this to me? Why?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This isn't First Take where the Giants are the number one story every week when like nobody.
Oh, okay. Because the Steelers. I forgot the classic they put up this week. Well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm about to talk about how bad they were, and this is slide number 4 technically. Like, what are we talking about? Anyway,
not Tyler Boyd no more.
Oh my goodness!
Talk more about Tyler Boyd than the Dolphins. This is terrible.
But that's the point. You did that. Like I was just trying to make a statement, and you're the one that was sitting here trying to defend the Bengals. Like, what are you doing? Like,
whoa! Stop trying to make it sound like I'm defending Paul Brown's family. I'm saying they're not that good.
To the Browns.
Talk about your Steelers.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, if the Giants had the worst game of the week, we definitely had the second worst game of the week. Offense looked terrible. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to overreact to week one because week one is week one. We understand that offenses usually look bad week one. However, this was the problem going into the season. And this is why I said last pod, the offense looked great in the preseason. As a fan, I don't know what to do with that information, because if we have a lot of questions on offense and our offense looks great, it's not fair to say, well, it's just preseason. Like, I'm not going to be excited about that, because if they look awful in the preseason, nobody's going to sit there and say, oh, it's just preseason. They would have said, see, Steelers look terrible. I don't know what the fuck happened, but my God, that offense was horrible in week one. Offense coordinator still does not look good. Running 4 verticals. This is a real play. He ran 4 fucking verticals at the 4-yard line. That I'm not kidding. We were at the 4-yard line, and this asshole ran 4 verticals, and we wondered why we didn't get a touchdown. It's just unbelievable what this guy. I don't know what he's thinking. Granted, this is probably the best defense we're going to play all year. I get it. Granted, it's week one. I get it. Kenny Pickett did not look good. His accuracy was all off. He wasn't reading the field. Everything that he was doing well in the preseason that we were praising him for, it's almost like it's almost like that just didn't download coming week one. He looked
not the preseason. He's not throwing against backups.
Well, no, the starters played against the starters. Like we weren't trotting our starters out against the guys that aren't going to make the team.
Yeah,
Um,
but also defenses aren't showing you anything but the most vanilla defenses in preseason.
I get that, but at the end of the day, he still looked like he had a command of the offense. He still looked like he was poised. He still looked like he was comfortable. He didn't look like any of that in week one. And again, these are things that were supposed to be his strengths, right? His accuracy, his ability to read the field, his ability to make good decisions. None of that was on display in week one. So that's a problem. Again, Matt Canada gave him no help because once again, the play calling was horrible. Um, it's not the worst thing in the world because again, we got some help. The Chargers lost, the Bengals lost, the Patriots lost. It's an NFC team. Cool. It's a game that I was 50-50 on anyway. Cool. I will say this. Mike Tomlin, man, I love you, bro, but this is a problem, man. I keep saying this, even when I was a Mike Tomlin truther, as my dad would call me, and I always was a Mike Tomlin apologist. Even then, I had two problems with Mike Tomlin. We lost games every year that we had no business losing, and for whatever reason, we did not do well with prosperity. And I hate to say it because Mike Tomlin has this reputation as a rah-rah coach. He's not an X's and O guy. He's more of a rah-rah coach. And yeah, when you listen to him talk, if he doesn't make you want to put on a helmet and shoulder pads, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, right? The guy makes you just want to play football. He was born to be a football coach. But this is one of those things where when the Steelers, they operate at their best when they're under the radar, when people are sleeping on them, when people are doubting them, when people just aren't paying attention to them, we operate at our best. The moment people, oh, look at the Steelers, look what they're doing, we come out and we play like we don't know how to play football. And we talked about it last pod. The Steelers that was that one team that was like, oh, everybody's sleeping on them, everybody's sleeping on them. Well, if everybody's talking about how everybody's sleeping on them, that means nobody's sleeping on them. We were probably the most overhyped team coming into week one. I saw people predicting we were going to win the division. I saw somebody, I forgot what it was, talking about, can we come out the AFC? And when I saw that, I said, damn, we're going to lose in week one. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen because this is what
I mean, I thought you guys would lose. I didn't think you guys would lose like, that.
I mean,
And now I'm looking at your schedule. There's a very real possibility you're 0-2 going into Sunday night football against the Raiders in week 3. And that's not a team. If you're sleeping on the Raiders, you're about to lose that one too.
it. But here's
Because they're the trap team.
but here's the funny thing though. Like again, just knowing the Steelers, do I know the Steelers? Now everybody's off the bandwagon because we got slacked in week one. So everybody's like, all right, well, that's done, right? And everybody's off the bandwagon. We'll use it for motivation. And I guarantee you we win a couple in a row. Da, da, da. But once again, once everybody said, oh, here comes the Steelers. They had a bad week one, but they've won 4 of their last 5. Da, 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 da. We're gonna fall flat on our face again. And it's almost like that's his point of coaching is, oh, they're doubting us, they're doing this and doing that. But once people aren't doubting us anymore, it's almost like he has nothing to say anymore. It's almost as if he can't get them motivated to play. Because I've never seen it. And again, this goes back to the Ben Roethlisberger AB days where we played our best when we were under the radar, when people weren't paying attention to us, when people weren't talking about us, and we could just do our thing. The moment we got some attention, it's like we don't know how to play football. And it's like, Tomlin, I love you, but you got to fix that. That can't happen. That can't happen when people are going to give you praise when you're winning football games. You can't expect to have go whole seasons under the radar. That's not how this works. If you win a couple games in a row, people are going to talk about you. You can't then lose 2 in a row because people are talking about you. Like that just cannot happen. Again, to your point, them losing, I'm not surprised. I was 50-50 on that game. The fact that they look that bad on both sides of the ball. Now granted, TJ Watt, that dude's amazing. 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. Dude's the best defensive player in football. I don't know why people even doubt that. Like, the dude's amazing.
Because Steelers fans don't shut the fuck up about him. So it's one of
No,
those
because people keep ignoring him, and I don't get it.
It's not ignoring. It's more Steelers spite at this point.
It's just ridiculous. He was amazing, but nobody else played well that game. Nobody else. And
No, you guys sucked. Like honestly, you're the only team, or we're the only team that you're looking down on. Like you better shut up. Like after Sunday, you looked at my team like, well, at least that didn't happen to us.
Right. That
Like,
honestly, when that game happened, I said, "Oh, thank God." At least
oh, bro, our local games here at 1 o'clock Sunday, the week one was some of the worst games. Period.
I and by the way, I'm gonna move on, and your Giants are next. Don't worry. I have a stat because this is alarming. This is alarming.
Uh-huh.
And again, here's another problem with the Steelers. They're too traditional. They don't like firing people. Matt Canada had 1 year left on his deal. That's why we didn't fire him. They probably won't fire him this year. They're probably going to let it play out, which is retarded because you have a second-year quarterback who desperately needs to get better. But this is a stat. Matt Canada became the OC in 2021. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the only ONLY NFL team that hasn't recorded a 400-yard game on offense since the start of the 2021 times. The Steelers have played 36 games with Matt Canada. They have failed to produce over 20 points in regulation in 27 of those 36 games. The Steelers offense now has 36 straight games under 400 yards. There have been 269 instances since 2021 where a team has gained more than at least 400 yards. Think about how bad some of these offenses are. We talked about the Giants. We talked about the Jets last year.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say, so the Jets, that's unacceptable in this era. Unacceptable. And like you got on me because it's like, oh, well, Big Ben had more 400-yard games. And I'm like, well, shit, bro. Like half of this is in the aughts. Like that's a different era. You know what I mean? Like to hold the 400-yard game amount to the same, from era to era. That's the biggest difference in our lifetime, going from the middle of the 2000s to now, is that 400 yards went from, that's amazing, to, well, if you're a top tier quarterback, you should be doing that at least a couple times.
For the entire season. It can't happen. That's unacceptable. For every other team to do it at least 3 times, and we've talked about how putrid some of these offenses have been, and you haven't done it once. That's unacceptable. And the Matt Canada apologists will say, we had old Ben, and he had a rookie Kenny Pickett, and he had Mitch Trubisky. Okay, we just named some of the situations in other teams, right? Zach Wilson. And
I got the mic. Wait. Hold on. This is the worst loss.
Hold on.
What? I got like 5 minutes.
Hold on. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go on mute, and I'm gonna let you go. Ready? No team has ever lost 40.
No, I got this. You fucking move. No, fuck you. No. You made me wait. Shut up. I have it. I have it right in front of me.
Oh, you have
it? Shut the fuck up. Okay. You shut the fuck up and you let me do this, because this is the worst fucking loss of all time. Not a Giants loss. Not the worst loss of NFL fucking history. Not Giants history, not NFC East history, not the National Football Conference history, the whole fucking 3-0 or worse. A field goal blocked and being returned for a touchdown, and an interception being returned for a touchdown across a season. Never, let me repeat this, never happened before with an NFL team. In a season, we've had 12-game seasons. We've had 14-game seasons. We've had 17-game seasons. It's never fucking happened. And somehow the New York Football Giants did it in one fucking game. One game. I turned this shit off at 26-0 at halftime. Want to know why? Because I'm from the generation where if you're losing Madden 21-0, our biggest rivals. Fuck the Commanders. They're not in this conversation. We played the Eagles and the Cowboys, and you trot this team out here. This asshole, he's making $40 fucking million. $40 million. Generational wealth in 1 year. Fucking, how many yards did he have? I don't know, because it's fucking irrelevant. He probably had 100. It's trash. Like, we're talking about 400-yard games. How the fuck did this Giants offense ever do that? I don't remember what football looks like. I ain't seen it since last year when we beat the fucking Vikings, who apparently had the worst defense of all time. And we did this amazing feat in week 1. We could have just did it over the course of the season and been equally embarrassed. But no. The football gods said, oh, look at you stupid Giants fans. You're not miserable enough You had 1 year of happiness in the last 5. Let's just have the worst playoff loss of all time next to the 1991 Raiders, and then follow that up week 1 with the worst loss of all time, because we didn't want to just take the fucking reins from the Raiders and have one of the only 30-point plus blowouts in playoff history. We wanted to fucking just make a whole new category of embarrassment. Something the winless Browns didn't do. Something the winless fucking Lions didn't do. Somehow, the coach of the year, whose son just turned 6, apparently, his birthday was like the day before. Some people were getting on him for throwing a party. Shut up. But you know what is on table? How unfucking prepared they all were. That turnstile of an O-line. If that's not on Dable, it's on Shane, and that's it. Those are the 2 guys to blame. Because it's either being prepared or a lack of talent. Because there's zero fucking excuses for why you do that against a divisional rival. Your divisional rival is who you're supposed to be building your team to beat. Luckily, we had the NFC champions in our division, so we're supposed to be building a team to beat the NFC champions. We don't look like we can play against their fucking practice squads. So I don't know what the expectation is for this season. As you know, I was being optimistic. Shit, we made the playoffs last year. Hopefully we make the playoffs again. The playoffs seem so far away when you do a fucking bingo checklist that the Giants did in week 1. It's so bad that if we just beat the Cardinals, no one's going to feel better. The Cardinals aren't even supposed to be a good team. Shit, if we lose against the Cardinals, I'm coming on this podcast and I'm saying tank for fucking Sanders. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to say. That's how bad this was. I held this in since fucking Sunday night. I waited all preseason. Brett knows. Brett fucking knows. I don't even like preseason. Don't watch preseason. So I'm that asshole that the song's singing about waiting all day for Sunday night. And it'd be bad enough if I lost to the fucking Steelers or the fucking Panthers, so Brett had to talk shit to me. The fucking Cowboys. The Cowboys. We can't even put up a fucking points against the Cowboys. The opening drive was looking so good. And then our offensive lineman, who didn't get one of those flags last year, gets a flag, pushes us back. Fuck it. I guess we're going to have to settle for 3. That sucks as bad. That's already bad. That's already bad that we had to settle for 3 because we were driving down the field. And then the fucking center goes, hot, and just throws it. And the whole game falls apart. Like we didn't like lose the game in that instance. It's only 7-0, but you would have thought they scored the 40 on that fucking kick return. We don't even have a wide receiver. Like, the wide receiver we do have is a scrub from Indiana. I don't know what the fuck else to say, dude. Like, it is the worst loss I've ever experienced. Like, as a fan of sports. It is so monumentally fucking embarrassing. Half my family is Cowboys fans. Half. I have a big ass family. We're Black, Puerto Rican, and Italian. There's so many of us. And no one said anything. You know how fucking bad a loss gotta be? That I'm not getting texts from them? That my primo isn't texting me talking shit? He said domination in the first quarter. Like, and he was done. Because after a certain point, it's fucking cyberbullying. That's how bad this was. It's so fucking bad. Brett made this the last slide because there's not that much to say. He just knows I'm fucking insane.
I just hope you all know, when I said this man almost destroyed my kitchen when I brought up Daniel Jones, now you see.
$40 million.
Are you done?
I can't pay off my student loans, and this asshole is getting paid to put up numbers I can put up. I can do this. Pay me $4 million. I can get 100 fucking yards, toss them to professionals, and I can't throw. I throw like a girl, and I can still put up those numbers.
You done, Kev?
Saquon fucking Barkley getting popped. Ball comes out. We're just giving it. The fucking turnstile of an offense. We made the Cowboys defense look like the 85 Bears and 2000 Ravens did the fucking fusion dance. That's how bad we look. There's no way the Cowboys are that good. We know that.
Well, the good
we
thing,
didn't just look that bad. We are just that bad. Fuck. The Mara family should sell the team and just buy Alabama and start over and move Tuscaloosa to MetLife because we'd have a better fucking roster.
Well, the good thing is the Cowboys' offense didn't look good. Dak didn't play well. So that you have that going for you. I'm going to move on. Anyway, so now you good? You got that out your system? Here, just take a break. I got this. The Panthers also didn't look good. And I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons. Yeah, I like the Panthers, but too, Bryce Young is the number one pick overall in the draft. So we got to at least talk about him. Offense has not looked good all preseason. Did not look good today. I saw a video on this a couple months ago, and I thought about this as I watched the game. I think the Panthers made a big mistake trading up to get Bryce Young. Not because I don't think Bryce Young is good. It's just history tells us that when you trade up to get a number one pick, the amount that you trade up, it ends up not being worth it. And it's one of those situations where I don't remember. Again, I saw this video a long time ago. I should have saved it, but I didn't. But he basically ran the numbers, and it was one of those things like, yeah, it's almost impossible for Bryce Young to be worth what they gave up to get him, right? He would have to be like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to live up to the amount of value that they gave up to get him. And I didn't know that. I mean, obviously it makes sense. Like if you're trading a lot of picks, especially in a sport like football, to go get somebody, it better be worth it. But history literally tells us that that doesn't happen. And so I wonder, with a guy like Bryce Young, who, again, the biggest thing for me, and I know he's a rookie, I know it's week one, and I know it's been a preseason, but like Kenny Pickett, his processor was supposed to be what makes him great, right? He's supposed to see the field so well. His accuracy was supposed to be so great. That's what makes him great. The fact that that's not on display, that scares me, right? Because if that's what you're supposed to be good at, you're not doing that. That's not good. That's like if Anthony Richardson wasn't running the ball well. It's like, well, damn, like that's the one thing he's supposed to do well. That scares me. And it's one of those things. Look, I know Will Levis hasn't shown much either, but you could have gotten him at 9. And it's one of those things where if he still stunk this year, you could get, Caleb Williams or Drake May or one of these other quarterbacks in this draft. And I just wonder if they, shot their load too early, I guess. Like where it's like if the historical data says don't trade up for the number one pick because it's almost impossible for that guy to live up to what you traded to get him, then maybe you can't do that. And Bryce Young is small. Their offensive line's not playing well. Brady Christensen just went on IR, I believe. So that's one of their best. Well, he's not one of their best, but that's one of their linemen that they're already missing. So they can't even protect this guy. You don't have a first-round pick next year. Again, I'm rooting for Bryce Young. I'm rooting for the Panthers, but this does not look good. They clearly miss DJ Moore because they have no weapons to speak of. Yeah, man, I don't know. I really hope we don't look back and say this is one of the worst trades of all time. Not because I don't think Bryce Young is going to be good, but again, you gave up so much to get this guy. And I say it all the time. You only do that when your team is literally a quarterback away. And the Panthers were more than a quarterback away. They needed a better O-line. They needed more receiving help. So they got rid of their best receiver to get the deal done. And Bryce Young, just because of his size alone, is not this generational guy that I would have said, yeah, you go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? So, again, it's early. It's early. I don't want to overreact to week one because offenses usually are slow out the gate. Defenses usually play better early. But, man, this looks really bad so far. and they got to turn it around because this could go down as one of the all-time stinkers of a draft pick if it doesn't.
I mean, Trey Lance is still in the league, so unless you trade him in 2 years, I don't think it's going to be that bad. But I lost one of my fantasy leagues to a Panthers fan in a league that has decimals. We tied, and it went to the bench with decimals, and I lost to him. So I refuse to talk about the Panthers right now. I'm not doing it, especially not doing it on a rookie quarterback on a bad team that didn't necessarily look bad, like you said. Everything you said, I kind of I'm going to echo. I'm going to co-sign what you said. There are reasons to you could be worried, but I'll fine. I'll be positive after losing my shit. I think that what the good you saw with how little help he has is enough to hang your hat on and feel positive about going forward. If you build a solid, not good, not even good or great, there's a solid foundation around him, then we can judge him a little bit better. I agree that getting rid of his best weapon is not doing him any favors, but he's literally where Daniel Jones was 2-3 years ago. Like, it's such a bad team. Like, we can't even assess how good this guy's going to be. So if he just does okay,
but that,
it's enough to be like, all right.
Part of the problem too, right? When you trade that much to get a guy, you hinder your ability to put a good team around him, right? You don't have a first round draft pick. They gave up, I think they lose a second rounder this year too, or second rounder next year, something like that. So again, you're not operating under a position of strength. So for instance, like I said, let's say they just took Will Levis at 9, and Will Levis looks bad. But it's like, hey, we drafted him 9th.
I'm gonna say, how are you?
No, I'm saying, but at least with Will Levis, he would have had DJ Moore. He would have had.
I gotta run, sir. I'm sorry to cut it short. I gotta go. I gotta run.
All right,
much
cool.
love.
Go ahead.
Sign off without me. Do me justice. I'm not the Chuck D on all the socials. Fuck the Cowboys. Fuck the Eagles. Go Giants. Suck a big blue dick. You fucking birds and bitches. Bye. I fucking hate Dallas.
Okay. Anyway, we'll look at week 2 matchups real quick before we head out of here. For me, this is a rare chance for me to see both my teams. They both play Monday night. The Panthers play the Saints and the Steelers play the Browns. So I'll definitely have both games on the TVs and be running back and forth. Vikings and Eagles. The Vikings didn't look that good. Again, the Vikings are such a weird team, but hoping for it to be a good Thursday night game. We usually don't get it, but this is a matchup that could be great. The one I'm really hoping, really happy to see is Mahomes versus Lawrence. How that's a 1:00 game, I don't know. That the schedule maker is definitely screwed up on that one. These are two of the best young quarterbacks in the league. But as someone who doesn't have to watch the Steelers at 1:00, I will definitely be tuning into that game. Ravens and Bengals, a huge matchup for the division already. Cincinnati can't afford to go 0-2. The Giants should get an easy one in Arizona. We'll see. I mean, Lord help us if they lose to Arizona. I don't even think we want Charles on the pod next week if they lose to Arizona. And the Dolphins and Pats. We said it earlier. The Dolphins have a really good matchup in terms of being able to take sole possession of the division. I forget who the Jets play the Cowboys. So again, there's a good chance the Jets could lose that game. Dolphins, this is your chance, man. Again, the Pats, not only are they in the division, but they're obviously in your conference. You want to win that game, go 2-0, have sole possession of the division, and you have wins against the Chargers and Pats. I know you play the Pats again anyway, but having that win against the Patriots and the Chargers will go a long way towards your playoff hopes, because even if Buffalo does win the division, those are wins you need to stack, right? You need to stack up against these other AFC teams that will be fighting for wild card spots. So that's a huge game for the Dolphins. That's the game that I'm tuning in for. Again, I had to put the Giants on here just for off of the strength of Charles, but I'm not going to be watching that game. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm praying for my eardrums that the Giants at least win that game. But yeah, that's it. Those are the matchups I'm looking forward to week 2. Let me know what you think. I'm Never for Bread1. You can find me at Never for Bread Me. That's NEVA_4 BRETT_ME on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. We are _dope blog on Instagram and Threads. We're the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. We are at thedope.blog. And join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces.